Why do we feel it's not worth it having insurance? I get a lot of pushback from contractors saying it's not worth it having insurance and doing everything. Listen, I'll say this to you: it is worth it because the contractor game that we're in is very litigious. Um, it's not if you would be sued; it's only when you would be sued, and this happens all the time. So having insurance, having a proper insurance, and I mean, there's so many things that can go wrong on any given day, from person being hurt. I remember one time years ago. I'm not sure if I did a video about this. Um, we had a few issues. One issue, I had a guy shoot himself with a finished nail gun in his hand. Have no idea why he was doing it. He was doing baseboards and he shot himself with a finished nail gun in his finger. It was like in one of his fingers. And I remember my partner at the time got there. No, my partner was already there. I got there, and he was trying to pull the nail out of the dude's hand. He was like, I don't know why we were doing this, man. But I get there and I'm like, oh man, what's going on? I don't remember it being a lot of blood anywhere. I don't remember that, but I do remember him like, oh man, it hurts. And my partner was like, man, let me just tell you, try to pull it out, because it was just a nail in his finger, just went through his finger. And he was like, hey man, hold him, man. I was like, all right. I was trying to hold him, trying to pull it. He was like, ah. And eventually, I just was like, hold up, man. Just have this dude go to Kaiser, man. Or it wasn't even Kaiser. He wound up going to Kaiser because Kaiser was across the street from the job, like literally like next street over from the job. But no, it wasn't. It's not Kaiser. It was there's a injury place. I forget the name. It got bought out by somebody. I think it's like called Contra now, something like that. It might come to me. Anyway, having insurance, allows you to take care of those things. You know, not having insurance and thinking that an employee is going to trust that you're going to pay for everything that they go through as far as medical bills is crazy. Because a lot of us out there is like, nah, you know what? I got employees. I know them. They've been with me for a long time. If they get hurt, I'll just cover their medical bills. You have no idea how much medical bills are if you're saying that. Like, really, you know? And then this is where you get in trouble at. So you're like, you know what, I cover. And then they get hurt. And then they're at the hospital and they're like, hey, well, this bill is due. And you're like, oh, well, just wait until I get this check so I can cover it. They're like, no, this bill is due now. Or I need medication. I'm leaving the hospital right now. You know how things work like that. Like you go pick up meds as you leave the hospital. And you're like, hey, man, I got to pick up meds. Are you going to pay for this? You're like, yeah, I guess. Yeah, I am. And then they're like, oh, yeah, I need meds again. You're going to pay. Like, what? This is crazy, and things are expensive, man. Like medical is expensive. Medical insurance is expensive. Paying for things without insurance covering it is ridiculous expensive. So how you're going to cover anything is just crazy, or how you're going to be covering it while making that person feel as if you're going to cover it throughout the time of them getting to wherever they need to get to be healed. Now you got to realize this is that when someone gets hurt, especially in our industry, right, hands-on trade industry, people, start to think about like, man, this could really hinder me now, this injury, or I could be hindered if I don't get this taken care of properly. And you're saying like, yeah, I'm gonna pay for this, pay for that, and then they feel like, hey, you know what? I don't know what this person is gonna take care of properly or do properly, and then they turn that case into a self-injury case to now a workers' comp case, and you don't have insurance, and then that creates a whole nother liability for you, whole nother lawsuit, whole nother case issue. Um, and it's a serious thing. So, having insurance is very important. And having insurance and knowing how to charge for the insurance, how to apply it to your rates is very important. And I think that's the biggest thing. Why be concerned with how much insurance is if you can have jobs that are paying for the insurance, right? And I think that's the biggest thing is having enough to cover it, right? Now, if you're out here doing onesie, twosie, and doing like real small jobs, then you might could get away with it. But still, nonetheless, that's a risk in itself as well. Because if someone gets hurt out there, how are you to explain it? How are you to ensure that if you're doing very small jobs, how are you to ensure that employee that you're paying a daily wage to, that you're going to cover their medical expenses? I mean, it's crazy. But having insurance and getting covered, or who else got hurt? You never know when people come to work with different things on their mind than owners. Owners, we're coming to work like, we need to get this done. We need to get paid. Like, we need to get to this point so I can get paid. Employees are coming to work with, I got into it with my girl, man, and I'm not feeling good about it. Where's she at? What's she doing? Or where he at? What he doing? My kids are being bullied at school, or, I didn't eat. I don't got no money. My car's, acting up. They got all this stuff on their mind. Next thing you know, they're hurt. And people do things the wrong way for so long without being hurt. They continue to do it, and then they wind up getting hurt. I had this one guy that years ago, a very good operator, and he was big on safety too. Well, one day he was out there changing some teeth on the backhoe bucket, and went out there real quick and forgot his glasses, and didn't go back and get them, and was banging the tooth off with a sledgehammer, and a shard of metal flew in his eye. And he was a safety guy, man. He was always had on safety glasses, his hard hat, his vest, steel toe boots. But that one time, after 20 years, he hit and shard of metal got in his eye. He didn't lose his eyesight or anything like that, but it was a close call. Man, there was a time when when I was a laborer years ago, I jumped in back of a truck, and in back of the truck where they have rebar sticking out where you hang electrical cords on, water hoses on. I remember I got in the truck and I leaned down and poked myself in the eye with it. Man, my eye was just blurry for like an hour, man. I thought I was going to lose part of my sight, man. But I was just in the truck, and this happened. I don't know what I was thinking about or how it happened. It's happened, man. I remember another time I was driving my own truck, and I was setting up traffic control. It was in Whittier, and I had the aero board connected to my truck, and this older gentleman, I don't know how old he was, but he was very old. He said the sun was in his eye. He didn't see the traffic control. We had signs set up, everything proper according to the traffic control plan. And he literally bust through the cones and hit the aero board. So if you set up a traffic control, there's a long taper, especially on the arterial street, right? There's a long taper that gives you time to get over before you even get to the aero board. So he gets to the aero board, hits the aero board, it bounces off the hitch and goes underneath my truck, the hitch part. So that part that holds the aero board that you tow from, bounced off the hitch and went underneath my truck, and he was still pressing on his gas. And I was in the middle right there between the bumper and the aero board. Luckily, I had to change the safety chains on the aero board because it stopped him from smushing my legs. And he was still pushing the gas. I literally got from in between that, jumped from in between that, and banged on his window to tell him get off the gas. I could have been taken out like that, man. And I was doing everything right, just didn't even notice that, man. And it happened so quick. Guys was like, man, I told you, get out the way, get out. But there's so much noise around, you know. I mean, it's cars, it's horns, it's a busy street, you know, and you know, it's kind of hard to hear things and react quickly, you know, as quickly as someone coming fast down the street and bust through your cones, and you know. But I mean, things like that, man. Those are, you know, freak little incidents, you know. With someone, there was a time when a bike rolled into one of our trenches in the middle of the street. A car rolled into it, you know. General liability covers that, you know. That's another thing, not having very cheap insurance, right? Where you eliminating so many things to where it's not properly covering you for things that can happen on your job site. That's another thing too. So, you know, with that, I would say, hey, it's not if, it's only when something would happen. Someone would get hurt. A vehicle accident or equipment accident, stolen equipment, you know, that happens quite a bit. But being covered for these things, these liabilities, is very important, man. And I think everyone needs to have insurance. Everyone. Well, it's hard right now. I like these talks with my cigar, man. I like them. Anyway, so having insurance is very important. You just need to know how to account for it in your pricing. And you need to account for it. You know, if you have general liability, you need to figure out what you pay for that and add it to your overhead costs. Add it in there, so you can get it again, and you're not scraping by trying to pay for that again. You know, a regular auto is different from commercial auto. Okay, that's different. You know, I don't. I remember there was a time where I got in an accident on the job site, and I tried to run it through my personal auto, the aeroboard incident, and I told them I was at work, and they were like, "Yeah, we're not covering that. That's not something we cover." And I tried to go through the company to get it, and I think they gave me a few $100 to get my bumper fixed or something, but not really a whole lot of money. But get insurance. Get insurance. There's things that can happen, things that always will happen, and get covered. And I'll have a class on that real soon, and we'll get it. We'll get that topic real covered, and costs, and how to fill out application and everything. So my construction entrepreneurs, you hear they calling me, man. So I'm gonna let you guys go with that. Hustle hard, then hustle harder. Catch you on the next one.